It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Oh, I knocked on the wrong time. And this little segment we like to call Ask Bruce Anything. I solicited your questions on X, nay Twitter. And and if you're watching, that picture of me is of really nice going, Chris. Great graphics there.
Thank you.
That, I believe, is part of that gigantic Loop radio station cartoon, which featured, all the luminaries from the heyday of the Loop. And I'm there. And the hair is pretty much the same. I'm not as drunk looking.
I say, why the red WC Field nose there?
Yes, I'd rather be in the Loop than in Philadelphia. Yes, my little chickadee. So it's Bruce's Ask Me Anything. And why don't we go to the first question?
First, I thought first we would
sure,
like a bad dating site, and I would ask you some generic
absolutely
first date questions.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go through those the basic ones. What's your favorite color?
Favorite color is blue. Yes.
Color is blue. Okay.
Because of my baby blue eyes, I believe. Yeah.
Not because of the shirts you wear that are different shades of blue on the two that you
blue is such a safe color. I got accused of a golf mate of wearing the same blue shirt. Well, not accused. It's accurate. Wore the same blue shirt every week to golf. And I wore a blue blazer when I was doing Fox Thing in the Morning with Bob Surratt and Marianne Murciano. I wore the same blue blazer every day. Until it became threadbare, and then we finally retired it and we hoisted it to the ceiling in the studio. It's just like,
how often was it dry cleaned?
Retiring a jersey. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. And that bit was developed by a guy named Paul Z, because we couldn't pronounce his last name. He later went on to be one of the executive producers of a little show called Lost on ABC. So there you go with a little blue history.
So he knows how to make three great seasons of something and then have it completely peter out.
I mean, well, I heard this, I always attribute things to or plagiarize. I forget to attribute things to the Commentary podcast with John Podhoretz, and he was mentioning Lost recently about it's why TV shows have to nowadays with streaming have to come right out and hit you with something that's going to grab you, because you can't be guaranteed an audience for more than 10 minutes or people are going to stay with you for a series like they did in the era of Lost. So they were explaining that with that series. Are you watching it at all? Pluribus. It's with Rhea Seehorn, and it's another Vince Gilligan production. And have you seen? It's
I'm not watching that one now.
It's about a dystopian future, and where it's some germ or something has caused all of humanity to become one collective entity, a good entity, by the way. But the goodness is so boring, and basically it's knocked out free will among those people, and then you've got a few renegades like Rhea Seehorn who are trying to fight it, and it's okay. But anyway, the point was you got to hit people right away, and you can't just leave them hanging like you could with Lost, which I did. I watched like the first season of. Did you stay all the way to the end?
I got all the way to the end. Yeah.
And were you greatly disappointed in the end of it?
Yeah, very much so. And then the whole last couple of seasons were kind of weak. It's like they were trying to figure out a way to end it, and then what they came up with was just not very good.
You know what I love is the way people tend to think that all these things are plotted out in advance, and you know what the resolution of a story is going to be. But especially like with TV, you don't even know if you're going to last past the first season. So why, why come up with the ending? I imagine Game of Thrones came from a book, and others came from books. But I recall a story about Charles Dickens that he's in line at the drugstore or apothecary or whatever, and somebody else is in line and they're ready to get his next installment of A Tale of Two Cities, or one of his books. And he's thinking to himself that he's got to think of the chapter for the next week. He doesn't know where it's going to go. And that's people used to read in installments back then. I don't read much at all. You can't. Do you read novels or anything? Do
I
you
read
go for
mostly
that?
autobiographies.
Yeah, I can't read anything. As working with me, I can't go beyond a tweet. It's kind of difficult for me. But that's I used to try to read novels, and it just became very, very difficult. It's something about becoming fossilized in old age. Although I heard Woody Allen recently was quoted, and I got some comfort from this. He said he read one novel in his life, and I can't remember which one it was, that he actually got pleasure from, and the rest was like homework. So, I mean, and you get it. I mean, he was a filmmaker. That was his milieu. And I remember the author Walker Percy, whose book, The Moviegoer, I did read multiple times for some reason, said that if he'd had his druthers, he actually would have been written for films. That was the medium, and the novel was on its way out. But I don't know.
I have a couple books that
Anyway, that's a little too lofty.
I have a couple books that I'm like halfway through, three-quarters through are like, one is like 10 years on that I haven't even finished.
Which one is that?
Did you read any of Chris Elliott's books?
Chris Elliott, the comedian?
Yes. So
I love him. I just saw him on the Everybody Loves Raymond retrospective. So, a very funny guy. Yeah, but you can't get through a Chris Elliott book. What are his books like?
Well, he wrote a great book called Daddy's Boy with Bob Elliott, which is hilarious.
Oh, with his dad. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Bob and Ray. Yeah.
But then he wrote a novel that I thought was going to be comedic called The Shroud of the Thwacker, which is not. So I would pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, and then never finished it.
Well, I do have a Chris Elliott story. You remember his movie Cabin Boy?
One of my favorite movies of all time. Yes.
Are you serious? Did you
I
see
love
it?
that movie. Yes. Saw it in the theater.
Well, I saw it twice in one day in the theater. It was by accident. I think my wife and I had gone in the afternoon to see it. And it was fine. I liked it. I remember Letterman with his cameo there, trying very hard to not be Letterman, which was difficult. But then for some reason we had plans with her parents and some relatives later in the night, and they all decided they wanted to see Cabin Boy. And I went, no, I saw it. And there is nothing that induces torture more than having to go see the same movie a second time in a theater that day. I was hoping that there was going to be some kind of alternative ending, anything. Will anything change for me? Because I absolutely couldn't stand it. It wasn't that good a movie, but you loved it. What am I talking about?
It was like one long bit that he did on Letterman.
All right, you know what? It's been years. I'll have to revisit Cabin Boy.
I can loan you my Laserdisc of it if you'd like. I have it on Laserdisc.
All right. Well, it's Cabin Boy, little Chris Elliott. Okay. But, I try to not finish loftier books so I can say, well, I'm still on page 200 of Infinite Jest, and I've gotten through about 40 chapters of Anna Karenina. At least, those are books that, make you look good when you're quitting. And I think I've mentioned this before. There was The Onion once did a bit about a movie about the brothers Karamazov that ends at page 137, which is where most people quit reading. And I swear that's just about where I quit reading too. So it's tough. It's tough. There's two kinds of people in the world. There are those who can actually enjoy novels, and there is the rest of us watching garbage on TV all the time, like Landman. Tim is not here to discuss the navel of Michelle Randolph, but it was. Did you watch the recent Landman?
Yeah, they put her in a high-waisted booty shorts so that you couldn't see the navel. Do you notice that?
All I know is that she was doing TCU cheers and they've made her sound even dumber than she was in the
I thought that as well.
seasons, first couple of seasons.
Like that she's
I mean, it's
an
all
idiot.
airhead stuff, and it's I mean, it's just, I mean, it's funny, but it's and there's slapstick. That when they're serving dinner, the mother's going to take their fancy food, their $1,000 meal, and start throwing plates. So it's
And much like every Taylor, we've talked about this before. Every Taylor Sheridan show has some super strong, powerful woman, and
yeah,
the one that he takes the digs at because she went to Northwestern.
right.
Goes in and schools a room full of lawyers in 5 minutes and gets them to drop the case. Like, come on.
It's unbelievable. And she's the hottest thing in the world. So you would drop the case no matter what. I mean,
and offer a job by the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Right. No, it's just like she takes them all on. It's great. But they had a little warning for her, that she'd be coming back soon.
Right.
So not just work for those wildcatters. So there you go.
2 more questions for you.
Okay.
Favorite movie of all time?
Casablanca.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I happened on it on Channel 9 in the afternoon one day when they used to have these movies after the news at 1:00, and I just became captivated by it, the intrigue and everything, and it's such a tearjerker, and I've seen it a number of times. And there is not. Speaking of Northwestern, there was a guy I went to school with. I mean, this is ages ago. I mean, he knew every line in the movie. And I actually, there is not one line in that movie. It's like The Godfather that isn't famous. Every single line in that movie is famous. So, yeah, that's my favorite movie of all time. I'm a sentimentalist. Yeah. I thought I told you never to ask me that question again.
How old were you when you saw it?
I mean, I was in college, I think,
okay.
when I first saw it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Last question from me. What would your last meal be?
My last meal.
You're getting the chair. What would your last meal be?
The chair. So I'd have a hard time eating. No, thanks. I'm really not that hungry. It's funny because I saw. Did you see Garfield, the movie Garfield, the series
with Bill Murray as Garfield?
No, it's not Garfield the cat, or it's not Garfield Goose, the King of the United States. It's President James Garfield.
Oh no,
it's not called Garfield. It's called Death by Lightning, and the guy. Spoiler alert: the guy who assassinated him does go to the gallows, and I can't remember if he has a final meal, but I know I was thinking about it, and he was so insane that he probably would have ordered. When I used to work on the Loop, I think Buzz Kilman had a strange fascination with reporting on the last meals of a lot of guys on death row. But no, I'll abstain from that meal.
Okay.
Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. A little segment I like to call Ask Bruce Anything. Bruce has asked me anything. I solicited your questions on X or Twitter, so we've got a whole bunch of them. So let's go. I can't wait for these intellectual questions from the people who follow me on Twitter. Can't wait for them. What's the first one?
All right, let's start with friend of the show, since he's I think he comments every week when you post, and he's also chimed in on the comment section on YouTube and whatnot. From Tom Owens. Tim mentions him because whenever he veers into a Tim Foyle segment, Tom is sure to comment on Tim's
right.
conspiracy theorist leanings. So Tom says, I've been reading some highbrow stuff from elite journalists writing about a family member of America's most prestigious dynasties. Bruce, what is felching?
Okay, so this, I believe, it has to do with what, like, is it with RFK Jr. and Olivia Nuzzi or something? I mean, that's the genesis of this story, right? I guess, if I'm not mistaken, which is a story, the Nuzzi story, or Nuzzi, or how do you ever pronounce her name, is one that for some reason I've been studiously avoiding. If you want to explain it to me, that's fine. Otherwise, we can move on from that. But as far as the felching goes, I've got to believe it's a portmanteau, a neologism of effing and belching, and it's when you This reminds me of this game, this dictionary game we always used to play, where we made up definitions of where you're so right at at your climax. You release everything, both up through your mouth and through every other orifice, and it is a wonderful high. So that's what I'm guess felching is.
That is
Do you know what it
incorrect.
is?
I do know what it is. That is incorrect.
Oh, what is felching?
I can try and describe this being safe for WJOB radio,
Okay,
but it is a sexual act.
sure.
It involves after someone has climaxed,
Mm-hmm.
wherever that particular climax goes, the partner then extracts it from that particular area.
I see.
Is that clinical enough?
It's nauseating enough, so I'll buy it. Yeah, and it's a good word for it. All right, can we move to?
Way to bring us down there, Tom.
Yeah, appreciate that as an opener.
All right, next
question number 2
from Tony Garcia. Were you ever invited to be a special guest star at a Johnny and the Leisure Suits concert?
It's interesting because, yeah, I'm not a big concert goer. I think the band that I have seen more than any other band, maybe than all other bands combined, is Johnny and the Leisure Suits. I think I went to 4 or 5 Johnny and the Leisure Suits concerts.
By contract?
I've seen. I'm sorry.
Were you obligated to go to those?
No, I wasn't obligated. I was there. I'm part of the team or whatever, but I wasn't in the band. I mean, I've seen Paul McCartney. I've seen Chicago. I've seen the Carpenters. I've seen Liza Minnelli. But I think I've seen Johnny Leisure Suits at least 4 times. One time was at Poplar Creek when they opened for Molly Hatchet, and this was the transition from the old loop to the celebrated loop, and Johnny got booed off the stage. Okay, but he made a triumphant return in 1986 in front of 25,000 people. And I think I've told this story before, that Stephen Geary opened the Teenage Radiation and they introduced me on stage, and I got a thunderous ovation that I'll never forget. 25,000 people. And then I insulted everybody at Poplar Creek because I was doing it as Chet Chit Chat. And I said, "Hey, Chet Chit Chat here with the bottom a lot of concerts." And I said, "Welcome to Ravinia." Not to Ravinia. Welcome to Poplar Creek, the Ravinia for the proletariat. So I insulted all of them. But they didn't know it. And they were and they loved it. And I loved that they were cheering for me. So yeah.
They didn't know Johnny.
I'm sorry.
The crowd was so dumb they didn't know what proletariat meant.
They knew what felching was. I'll tell you that much. So I give them credit for that.
Well, great segue into the next question, by the way.
Yeah.
Would you rather have to sit through The Exorcist again? This is from JT, or have to stay in Chet Chat character for a week?
So this is a great fan, because this person knows, how much The Exorcist impacted me. I mean, you think January 6th is the date, of the riot or insurrection or whatever. Actually, January 6th, 1974 is the date that I saw The Exorcist. and I remember that date because I think I still sleeping with the light on at night. So and this girl I was going out with, who I've now been married to for 50 years, was kind of bored by it because she read the book, and I was hiding under her seat, and we were not felching at the time. No, I was actually scared out of my mind. So I think I would have to do a Chet Chit Chat. Probably would die after about 3 days of doing it, but I don't think I would ever. I've seen like it on TV, like for a second, and of course it doesn't have the impact not being in the theater with the Dolby Sensurround or whatever it was. It was a loud movie. Okay, one of the first really loud movies. So it wouldn't have the impact on the small screen, but still couldn't stand it. Even though I think Johnny once had Linda Blair on the show years later, and I may have gotten to talk to her a little bit too. It still was terrifying.
I think she was on multiple times.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, that
Yeah.
question leads into this question fairly nicely. By Tom Molino, where is Chet Chet Chet? Is he on vacation or was he made to retire?
You know, um, what do we do with the sock puppets? It's he was resurrected for a while on WLS when I did the show with Dan Proft, and because Drew Hayes, the program director, wanted it. I didn't want to do it again, but I did it. And I actually thought it wasn't bad. And I think the producer liked it and the engineer liked it. Dan Proft never once laughed at Chet Chet Chet. And I go, and we once got into a fight over something. And I said, could you just laugh at one time? Give me a courtesy laugh. And he basically said, well, why didn't you just ask before? So, okay. So you got to ask in order to get a laugh. But actually, the biggest thrill I ever had, I don't know if I mentioned this, okay, I'll mention it again. One of my biggest thrills doing Chet Chit Chat is on 2 occasions. I did it on Stephen Gary's show. I was doing it from the remote location at Channel 32, but in the studio on those 2 separate occasions with Sam Kinison. And he laughed both times, the unmistakable characteristic giggle of Sam Kinison at both of those. And I don't think those were courtesy laughs. I think that he actually enjoyed it. And nobody ever made me laugh harder than Sam Kinison did when a couple of his routines.
Who needs
so,
a Dan
I mean, for
Proft
him to
laugh?
laugh at it was just unbelievable. What?
Who needs a Dan Proft laugh when you have 2 separate times of Sam?
Oh, I mean, really, I would have loved Dan to like it, but I get it. Dan used to make fun of me because he'd say, "Do you ever have a reference, a cultural reference to anything beyond 1970?" And okay.
Yeah,
Well, he had everything from 70 on. Dan didn't even like the Beatles. Okay, he actually once conceded that in my life he had heard it was a good song, but he was like a Geddy Lee Rush guy. Okay, I get that. We are all creatures of our moments, so I understand that.
Was Dan like reading the newspaper when he did Chet Chet Chet? Was he even paying attention?
he was just I mean, he was just stone cold silent, probably thinking to himself, all right, let's get it over with. I need to be talking about value propositions and when I'm going to move to Florida and carpetbag and talk about Chicago politics to the nth degree. So I don't know. But it was fun. It was the best show I ever did. So, except for this, of course. And, but anyway.
And he did do Chet Chet Chat a few times on the show and on Danny Mac's show recently in the last maybe year or so. So
I have done that. Danny Mac, if Danny Mac asks me to do that, it's like you got to do it. It's de rigueur to do it for Danny Mac.
How about for a little insight? How long does it take you to write a Chet Chet Chat? Is that all stream of conscience, or is that?
It was. It really was. I mean, I haven't done it in so long, but it basically was. Yeah, you just go from one thing to the next. But I mean, it is written out, and it could take like 10 or 12 minutes. I was just reading because it was the 100th birthday of William F. Buckley Jr. And he was so prolific. But one of the things he could type out a column in like 20 minutes. So, and he could type like 100 words a minute as well. So yes, of course, you go from William F. Buckley to Chet Chit Chat. That's quite the spectrum. So, there you go. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's time for the segment, Ask Bruce Anything. And or Bruce's Ask Me Anything. And wherein I answer questions or duck questions that you've asked me on X or Twitter. So let's go to the next question.
All righty. This is from someone who calls themselves the commissioner at Papa Gigio. What is your best loop lineup from morning, midday, afternoon, and evening?
excluding me hosting all day long, doing a marathon like Rob Petrie uh, did in Danville. Um, well, I
Let's give you a
gotta
little.
say,
Let's
go ahead.
give you something to jog your memory. That picture, the image you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Oh, right, right. So there's all the show people. Well, I mean, my favorite, of course, would be when Steve and I hosted on WMVP, which was always considered part of the loop, right? Doing that morning show. But excluding that, I mean, it's Johnny and Buzz, and then Kevin, and then Steve and Gary, and I guess Chet Kopic and Ed Till and Eddie Schwartz. Yes, yes. Um, I'm trying to. Oh, one time. So Danny Bonaducci was doing afternoon drive on the loop at one point.
He does not make your list.
I'm sorry.
He does not make your list.
Well, I mean, I didn't listen to him that much, but I mean, he's a famous guy and everything like that. And I remember Steve and I were walking on the plaza, um, the Hancock Plaza, because the Loop Studios were on the 37th floor of the Hancock, and we were walking on the plaza. I mean, one afternoon, and or midday, whatever, and we see Danny walking there. And so we go, hey, Danny. And it's kind of a thrill for me because, I mean, even though we were colleagues, it was still like, oh, he's Danny Bonaducci, right? So he was a big child star. And he doesn't so much as say hello as say, you guys are going to replace me in the afternoons, aren't you, on the loop? That was the scuttlebutt he heard. And I mean, I felt kind of bad for him that, I mean, here's this guy, you're only as good as your last broadcast, right? I mean, I remember doing a pizza party for Dick Biondi at WLS on, for his like 85th anniversary in show business, and him saying, well, every time they do a party for you, it means you're on your way out. So nobody's ever feels safe in that business. And there's Danny Bonaducci, kind of scared, and I felt bad for him. But on the other hand, I felt like, oh, that's kind of neat. He's scared of he's scared of us. Now, as it turned out, I think we were all not all that long for the loop at that point. But that was kind of interesting to me. So now, who else was on those lineups? Yeah, look, I remember the loop before it was the loop, when it was WSDM, smack dab in the middle of the dial. It was all female jocks. I remember that.
When
I
was
remember
that?
when
When was that?
that is like, well, I mean, I came to the loop in like 1983, so I mean, it's got to be in the 70s.
What were they
Okay, like
playing? What kind of
they
music?
would play, whatever rock music there was, and they had these female jocks. I think Patty Hayes may have been part of that. She had the greatest voice, boy.
That's a three pack of cigarette a day voice.
Oh man, I would have loved. Oh man, to hear Patty Hayes promote Steve's song, "Air Pie," added some luster to it. But yeah, she was really something, and yeah, it's just no. But there was WSDM, and then it turned over. They had a guy in the mornings named Mark McEwen, who later became the CBS national weather guy. He left the loop, but he was on with Buzz Killman in the mornings, and they brought me over from WXRT, and I never forget. I introduced Chet Chit Chat. I had done it on WXRT a couple of times, and but it was slow. I mean, it was like 33 and a third in a 45 RPM world, just to go go way back to when we measured records that way. But I did it once on a Friday, and Buzz announced, we're going to hear this every week. He decided, he became like the de facto program director at that point, and said, this is going to be on every week. And then Buzz told me that Steve Dahl had heard it and loved it. And of course, it was based on Chuck Swirsky, the guy that Steve and Gary had lampooned. And and that's how I talked to Steve, on the phone one time before that, and I was absolutely thrilled. And then this guy Jimmy DeCastro, who created the station, he said, "Look, I'm going to get this guy. He's going to be the next Johnny Carson." It was Brandmeier, and Brandmeier's, for a ill-fated move here and an ill-fated move there. I mean, he could have been the next Johnny Carson, and he said he was also going to bring Stephen Gary back, and I said, "Great, terrific," and so and the rest is history. Which, by the way, my understanding is that Larry Wirt, also instrumental, of course, in the development of the loop, was making a documentary about about the loop, and he has talked to me about being on it, but we haven't gotten together yet on it. But I understand, like, in it is, I mean, like, Jimmy Kimmel is in it. It's just saying everybody wanted to be on the loop when he was growing up, and of course the way he's comported himself recently on national television, maybe he will be back at the loop, which is now a religious station. Unbelievable. I was on the last broadcast for the loop. I was on the last broadcast. Steve hosted it because he was at that point with Cumulus, which owned the loop, and they were selling it to this Christian outfit. And I did chit-chat on that. Steve was there and Johnny was there, and I did a chat line saying, "We ain't leaving until we're believing," or "We ain't heaving until we're believing," or something like that, a reference to the new religious outfit that was, and of course a reference to Johnny's song, the lyrics of which go, "The more we drink, the less we stink." which and he said he got that line from some guy in some bar in Wisconsin who said, "We're not leaving until we're heaving," and that was the basis for that song. And of course, I'm very familiar with all the lyrics to the Johnny and the Leisure Suit songs because I went to more Johnny and the Leisure Suits concerts than to all other concerts combined in my lifetime. So, yeah. Oh, one time I was at a concert sitting in the crowd, and somebody reported on me on the air, like the following Monday, saying Bruce was not getting up and dancing to the songs. He was just sitting there. And so and Johnny said he could understand that I was doing that I was not grooving like everybody else, even though it was very musical. It was a pretty darn good band. I didn't like the Moo Moo song all that much, but I loved "We Ain't Leaving Till We're Heaving," and
All Crazy in Chicago.
"We're All Crazy in Chicago" was really something. So yeah, I liked all that stuff.
Quick question about this image. Can you name everyone on here? Because I can only get about 3/4 of them. This picture image.
Yeah, it's a picture, a nice, color sketch of everybody. I'm in the upper right. Kevin Matthews, I believe, is next. Oh no, Kevin's below me.
There's 3 people that look like Kevin Matthews in this.
Yeah, there's 3 Kevin. Maybe it's all his different voices.
Well, Jim Shorts is actually on here. I think he's the only one that has a puppet on here.
Did you, when we had Kevin on, did you notice how I wanted to get him to do Eddie Schwartz interviewing him, and he demurred. He didn't.
Do it, yeah.
He didn't want to do it. So I wound up having to do it. I don't know who the guy in the center in the back is. I'm not sure who that is.
It looks like it's kind of like you, but not.
No, that's not me. No,
this is you.
I'm in the upper right hand corner.
That's you. This kind of looks like Kevin, but this is Kevin.
Yeah, right.
This is Jim Shorts, right?
Where are you pointing?
The glasses over here, just above Gary Meyer.
May very well be. I think the guy up to the right of him may be Matt Bisbee, the programming, the engineering genius, could be. But yeah, a lot of guys look like Kevin Matthews. I see Brandmeier in the lower left. I see Steve. I see Gary. I see Kevin again.
This could be Kevin here too.
Yeah, he's all over. It's like Where's Waldo times 5. In this, I see Kopic sitting cross-legged on the floor. Patty Hayes in the middle. Yeah, it's. Is
this Wendy Snyder here?
Might be. I'm not sure.
Obviously, Buzz Kilman.
Yeah, Buzz, of course, unmistakable. Yeah. You
All
know.
right, let's get to a question since that
Okay.
ate up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. There's a person that asked two questions, I believe. Will the Bears sweep the Pack? A little sports talk. Will the Bears sweep the Packers and win the division? Are the Lions worse now?
Um, I answer is I don't know. And of course, this is an evergreen feature we're doing right now, so it may have already happened.
Predictions for the 2025 NFC North.
Yeah. So, right. I mean, the Bears have been pretty lucky. I'm horrible because for some reason I root against them. I think it might be an occupational hazard. It's just easier to come up with wise ass things to say than to compliment somebody, or it's because they're not talking about me in the huddle. I don't know what the reason is, but there's something about me. It's kind of sick. But I did find that like when the Blackhawks finally did win 3 times, it was like I was happy for them and for us. It wasn't the same because all this stuff should have happened when I was like 10. And it didn't. So the Overton window is it's not open throughout for everybody's life throughout their lives. But although some people, my mother is still a Cubs fan at age 92. So there you go. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the weekly rap. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap, a little segment we call Bruce's Ask Him Me Anything. And I solicited questions on Twitter, 4 questions. And we've gotten some, a lot of them are loop oriented. I'm waiting for, do you remember the quadratic equation? What do you think of the theory of comparative advantage? Some lofty questions, but I'll take whatever's asked.
Well,
So
the
let's go
next
to the
one's
next
not
one.
quite, not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
This is from AZ Mike.
Yeah.
Were you the guy who thought Cats was the stupidest play you ever saw?
Yeah, I really didn't like Cats. And I I came on like on a Monday and dissed it. And next thing I know, there's an envelope it's been mailed to me, and there are like 7 or 8 or 10 cassettes of the entire Broadway production of Cats, and a letter with it from Roy Leonard, Sugar Roy Leonard, WGN Radio, saying, "Oh, so now you're a theater critic too." and it was I got such a kick out of it. And then I started listening to the songs, and and I Master of the House, I I like some of the songs. I'm just such a fossil. I all I like is like I like Broadway musicals, but the only ones I seem to like are the ones that I grew up with. Like that we had the records on the hi-fi, My Fair Lady, uh, Oklahoma, South Pacific. For some reason, I mean, it's all tied in with growing up, and so I'm not really a good critic. And the Music Man, it's just and I don't think I recognize good new music. It's why it was interesting that I was on XRT for a number of years, and they liked me, and they thought, oh, he's the cool guy who doesn't care about sports, who talks about sports. But I did not fit in like with their music because they like to play new music. And, to me, it was like, well, when are they ever going to play the Archies doing Sugar Sugar from 1969? But,
They also
in
didn't
other
really want
words,
to
I don't
play
have
the
great
hits.
taste. I just don't, but, I do like the old stuff. So yeah. So that's what happened with Cats. Well, actually, wait a minute. No, I wasn't talking about Cats. I totally mixed that up with the Roy Leonard story. That wasn't about Cats. Okay. No, that was, oh my goodness. The French Revolution musical. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I screwed that up. You know what I'm talking about. Cats is the T.S. Eliot thing, which really did suck, except for one song called Memory. What was the Jean Valjean one? This is really bad that I can't remember. That we should stop the tape and get the name of that musical. You don't know what it is, and I'm drawing a senior blank right now. Okay, musical.
What era?
It's like in the 90s or whatever. French Revolution, French Jean Valjean.
The only French musical I remember is Moulin Rouge.
Here we go. Les Miserables. Okay. That's the one that Roy Leonard sent me all the stuff for. Okay. And Cats did suck. My wife and I left. Those were $40 tickets we had, and which at the time were expensive downtown. And my wife is pretty much, has got some musical taste. She was a music major. But we left at halftime of that one. It was so dull. So, Memories was about the only song. So, yeah, sorry
on
for
this
that.
on this question, Tom Owens chimed in, reminding us that Trump is a big fan of cats.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, I like I said, I'm not I'm such a bad critic that I didn't even remember the musical that Roy Leonard sent me the cassettes for. But yeah, that was Les Mis. Yeah. So much for my musical taste.
From McLeod, who did the best Eddie Schwartz impersonation? And then I found this funny. Private Fight chimed in that Eddie himself is in third place at best.
Right. I mean, Kevin, obviously. And the thing is that just a little inside stuff. I know Steve had been doing an Eddie imitation, but it wasn't until Eddie did it that we really knew what the voice sounded like. You know how it's like everybody winds up doing an imitation of an imitation. Nobody quite captured, whatever. I mean, until Rich Little did Kennedy or something like it. Well, Rich Little didn't do Kennedy, but he did, a lot of imitations. It's the imitation that you imitate. And Kevin was the one who captured it. He's so much so. And I've told the story before that I once got a phone call while I was, when I was going to be on the air on the loop. And it was, a guy going, it was Eddie going, you're vicious, you're awful, you should be ashamed of yourself the way they're making fun of me. And I go, Kevin, come on, thanks. And it was actually Eddie calling, not Kevin. So and then I felt bad, and even wound up going to Eddie's funeral. So right,
Another great tie.
Kevin did the best.
Another great tie into the next question, because I believe it was Robert Feeder who made you go to Eddie's funeral.
Well, we know our Bruce history.
And now Richard Robbins chimes in. We haven't heard from him in a while. Used to chime in often.
Yes.
Will Robert Feeder get you to attend Jobo's funeral? R.I.P. Jobo.
Oh my goodness. I actually knew Eddie and Jobo because they worked at WLS when Dan Proft and I did. And I remember they were trying to groom them to be, political talk show hosts, and we just eclipsed them. Okay. We were, which was kind of neat, because they were really the kings of radio at one point, but they were, I always thought that they appealed to 16-year-old girls. And I'm probably right about that. They were big, like, among that set, I think in the 1980s, which, by the time that rolls around, I'm over the hill. I did have one instance. Well, they lost or had to settle a gigantic lawsuit that was brought by Joan Esposito against them. Do you remember this at all?
I do remember. I remember the lawsuit.
And we've had Joan. Joan has been one of our few guests on this podcast.
Friend of the show.
So I like her. But
WCPT's on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, but they lost. They had to pay a big settlement. But one time, I was, they did these things on these Crane's quarterback luncheons on Tuesdays and at the Midland Hotel. And when the Bears had played a Monday night game, they wouldn't have any Bears players available for Tuesdays, so they'd have the media there. So it was like me and Gene Greco and Dan Roan and some other guys up there. And somebody asked some question about the Bulls, how their season was going. And I said, Bulls fans haven't been so disappointed since it turned out that Joan Esposito's baby had blue eyes. Okay, which was a reference to the fact that it couldn't have been the baby that a lot of people had slanderously said it was. And I got some hisses there. And I remember Ronnie Bull, the late, great, well, that's still alive, former Bears player, was in the crowd. And he looked at me like he wanted to give me a forearm shiver. And Gian Greco even looked at me like, okay, nice one. Nice going there. So, yeah. You got the joke, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It was bad. It was nasty, but I feel bad. Now I'm feeling guilty about saying it because I didn't hear a laugh from you.
Oh, I laughed.
No. Okay. All right.
We got time for one more? No.
One more.
All right. One political question out of all.
Okay.
Kind of political. Does Neil Steinberg hate white people? This is Ryan Tip again. Is he the least likable person in Chicago media? His quote is approximately, the only reason we don't have nationalized healthcare is because whites hate blacks.
Well, Neil Steinberg took me out to lunch once at the Prairie Grass Cafe in Northbrook. And I feel so guilty now.
Great restaurant.
That I think I should turn over my lunch tab to a poor black child. Because I didn't realize that that's the reason we don't have national health insurance. So, Neil, I pledge to be in favor of national health insurance. The Republicans do have to come up with some sort of plan. But
the plan right now is to keep it the same for 2 years while they figure out a plan.
Well, because Obamacare was not affordable. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. No, the costs have exploded. So they got to think of something. But that's for another day. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.